Rumours are a-buzzing, stories by the dozen, but as Ipswich Town fans, we still know nothing in regards to the potential exit of Kieran McKenna. Good morning, afternoon or evening, depending on whenever you're watching this. My name is Harvey Bell, an Ipswich Town content creator trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. So if you do enjoy this video, do consider leaving a like and subscribing down below. Just a matter of weeks ago, the town was filled with blue and white shirts and everybody was celebrating Ipswich Town's promotion back to the Premier League after 22 years. A number of weeks later, lots of headlines, lots of rumours flying about and a Twitter timeline in absolute meltdown as everybody is speculating that Kieran McKenna could be leaving Ipswich for another Premier League club. So let's start this video by looking at those rumours, splitting it down into the three main teams that he's been linked with. Those being Brighton, Chelsea and Manchester United. Let's start with the big one, Manchester United. Of course, this is where Kieran McKenna came from. He was the assistant manager there and that's where we took him from. McKenna seemingly enjoyed his time there. He was backed as assistant manager through three different main managers. You think he was their assistant manager under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, under Jose Mourinho and under Ralph Rangnick. I know people have a lot to say about the Glazers, but to Kieran McKenna, they were loyal. When the managers changed, they could have quite easily let him go, but they never did. The fans' reception wasn't great. There was a lot of criticism of him, and I remember when we signed him as manager, many of their fans were sort of warning us what we were in for. But you would think the opportunity to probably quadruple, if not more, his wage would be tempting, especially for somebody that's got a young family, let's remember. The biggest thing about Manchester United, though, that you have to think is they have not sacked their manager at the time of recording this video. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're watching this in a couple of days and they've sacked their manager, do go into the comments and let me know, because that probably sounds a little bit silly. But as it stands, Erik ten Hag is still very much in post at Old Trafford, having just won the FA Cup. That could all change, of course, but for now, there's not even a job for him to be linked with. I'm not saying there's nothing in the rumour, but what I am saying is there's no reason to panic yet. Let's move on to Chelsea now, who parted ways with Mauricio Pochettino just last week. Now, I was surprised to see Pochettino go, if I'm honest. I thought he had done a decent job there. Started a bit slow, but towards the end of the season, they really picked up. Anyway, he did leave, and that leaves a vacant manager slot that Kieran McKenna is being linked with. I can't really see a lot in this one personally. It would be a strange move, if I'm being honest. Of course, it's one of the big six, for the lack of a better term, but at the same time, I don't really see that McKenna has any obvious links to Chelsea. That said, money comes into it. We know how much the Chelsea owner Ted Boehly is willing to spend. So again, it comes to that wage thing. Is McKenna money driven or is he football driven? Other managers linked with that job include De Zerbi, who was at Brighton last year. Thomas Tuchel apparently could be returning to Stamford Bridge. And reports over recent days seem to suggest that Chelsea are starting to look away from McKenna. So in that regard, at the minute, it looks like we're safe there. But again, it could all change. And then third and finally, let's look at Brighton. Now, this one is a little bit funny for me. And obviously, being an Ipswich Town fan, I am maybe biased, but I think most people would agree our history is vastly bigger than Brighton's. You know, European Cup winners, First Division winners, FA Cup winners. That's not to disrespect Brighton, because Brighton have had a lot more recent success than us. They've played European football more recently, they've got a slightly bigger stadium, and they've been in the Premier League for longer. I'm not obnoxious enough to sit here and say that it's not a tempting move for them, because it would be. It simply would be. There's no arguing that. They're a club that have established themselves in the Premier League. It's probably fair to say that they're one of the teams that are going to be consistently in the top half for the next few years. Whereas having just gone up, we're nowhere near as established yet. It's not to say we won't be, it's just that we're not yet. They play an attractive brand of football, and their transfer model is to sign young players and develop them, which we know is something that is very much aligned with Kieran McKenna's way of thinking. That said, reports over the last few days are starting to say that they're looking away as well, so hopefully we're safe there. Again, all of these rumours, Manchester United, Chelsea and Brighton, they could all change. It comes back to the thing that at the minute we don't know anything, so there is no reason to panic. But what if he did go? Now, this is obviously one of the biggest questions. What if he did go? Where are Ipswich Town going to find themselves? Now, I'm not going to sit here and speculate over other managers because I think that would be disrespectful to Kieran McKenna. He's still in the job. As far as we know, he hasn't done anything to suggest that he is going anywhere. He has simply just been the subject of these news headlines and rumours. But what I will say is that we have an ownership board who are very much on board with a project. That project is not yet finished. Mark Ashton, he got the appointment with Kieran McKenna right, so I trust him to do it again. So I do believe that unlike previous resumes, there are people in place that are going to take this club forward and make decisions with the best interests of the club at heart. At the end of the day, the club's motto is run towards adversity, and it's in these moments where we'll see the ownership and the board really come under pressure and hopefully take to life. But let's look at what Kieran McKenna has here. As I just spoke about, the ownership is really strong, and so far they've given him everything that he wants. A new training ground in place, a new pitch. Player-wise, he's had lots of freedom over the transfers. He gets the final say on all of those. So the club is being moulded to the way that he wants it. That's not to say what he's done over the last 2 years has been easy, because it hasn't. He's done an absolutely remarkable job. But it does beg the question, why would you want to leave? You've done the hard part. So many times in football, I wonder this is why players and managers leave at certain times. One that sticks to mind is Jack Grealish leaving Aston Villa to Manchester City after getting them into Europe. I just ask the question, why leave when you've done the hard work? Kieran McKenna has done the hard work. He's got us through League One, he's got us through the Championship, and now effectively has a free hit at the Premier League. God forbid and touch wood that it doesn't happen, but if we were to get relegated, you would think that Kieran McKenna has enough credit in the bank that he would be kept on as our manager further forward. But who's to say that this time in a year we're not talking about a top half finish, even maybe a push for Europe? I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but I am going to say these are possibilities. Kieran McKenna is part of this project and hopefully is going forward as well. He knows that as much as anybody else, and to this point we simply have to remember that he has done nothing to suggest that he is going anywhere. The point of this video isn't to squash all the rumours, because I, like everybody else, don't know anything. What I am trying to say though is let's stay reasonable about this, let's wait for concrete information, and let's wait and see what happens over the next days, weeks and months. And I'll end this video by saying to Kieran McKenna, thank you for the incredible couple of years that we've had, and I just really hope that you're in place for next season as well.